others, it takes months, even years to complete a perfect work of literature. Well, one author has just published her first book. It's called Faded, and it's quite the read. And what's so unique about this particular author is she started writing at the age of 12 and was published at the age of 15. Her name is Maha Hussain, and she joined me in our studios recently. So you're in grade 10, and you've got aspirations to become a doctor, but from what I've read, 3 years ago, you decided that you wanted to write a novel. What was it that sparked that desire to put sort of these thoughts down on paper?
Well, one night I was talking to one of my friends, and she's a year older than me, and she told me that she was going to start writing a novel. And her novel was about vampires. And vampires...
Very popular topic.
Yes, but they were kind of overdone, so I suggested the plot of my novel. But she didn't want to write about that. She just wanted to write about vampires. But I wanted to read about a book that had the plot that I was thinking of. So I decided that I was going to write it myself.
Well, very good. And of course, we're talking about your book, which is titled Faded. I've read bits of it. I'm looking forward to reading the whole thing. But tell our viewers what it's about.
Faded, it's about a young girl. Her name is Hope, and her parents, they die in a car crash, and she was in the car when it happened, so she was really traumatized by it. So she has to start seeing a psychiatrist, and she tells the psychiatrist about her old imaginary friend, and he comes back to life. And he wants to kill her, but he can't because he's in love with her. And the imaginary friend, his name is Carrot, by the way, he came back from another dimension, and back in his dimension, there are these evil shadow people that are trying to take over the whole universe. So Hope and Carrot, they have to work together, even though they're not really getting along to save the world. Yeah.
A very in-depth way of a very, it's very out there, and I don't mean out there as like, wow, it's out there, but you've really put a lot of thought into this whole book. I mean, I can see this could be another trilogy from, the whole Twilight situation. They're much better than vampires. A lot of people didn't think you could write the book, and I'm not sure whether perhaps you were too young, or
because I was 12.
Right, but so what were your thoughts? Because you seemed pretty determined.
I think I definitely was, because I had a lot of problems with my computer where it kept on crashing, and I would always lose all the data, so I'd have to start all over again. But I really wanted to finish the book, and whenever people would say, oh, she can't do it, she's 12 years old, what is she thinking? I think it just made me even more determined to get it done.
But you got a lot of support from your parents.
I definitely did. It was all them. They did all the calls, all the meetings, all that. So I really owe a lot to them.
So it's, I can't remember how long it is, but it's a fairly long book.
Yes, it's 75,000 words.
There you go. And it got published.
It did.
Just recently in October. What was that feeling like for you?
It was almost surreal, actually. We went to the launch thing, and it was at an event in Burlington, and the people at the publishing company, they took out the book and they showed it to me, and I just really couldn't believe it. It was my name on something that I wrote on my own, and it was just the most amazing feeling in the world, to be honest.
Oh, it's right here, and I mean, just looking at it and holding it, I mean, there's your name right there. The cover, it's faded. I mean, obviously, appropriate, but there's the figure here is rather symbolic.
Yes, because there's two connections to that, because when Hope's imaginary friend, when she starts to see Carrot again, she doesn't see him quite clearly. He's faded, which is why I decided to call the book Faded. And the picture on the book could represent either Carrot, or it could represent the shadow people that Hope and Carrot have to deal with, because they're shadows, and the cover is kind of like a shadow.
And in some of the interviews that I read that you did, there's more to this, just these characters and sort of that will to survive and helping each other. You're also talking about world issues and, I guess, people around the world coming together to solve those big problems. So pretty heavy duty for someone at the age of 12. You're 15 now. There's a message that you want to send to young readers. What's that message?
I think that when they read Faded, I want them to think that honestly, if everyone in this world works together, even if they don't like each other, if they can just maybe put aside their differences for a little bit, they can work together, make something amazing happen, and even learn that they're not all that bad and become friends through it.
And that's a very strong statement to make, considering that us being such a multicultural country and focusing on merging those cultures and learning about each other. Any plans to write another book, maybe, or to do something else that's just going to wow us?
My aunt always tells me she wants me to invent something next. She's always take the next step. So maybe with that. But Actually, my grandpa, he had a really interesting story. He was from Pakistan, and he came from a poor family, but he studied really hard. He became this huge engineer, but then he lost his leg. And he had a really interesting story about how he's, like, even though he didn't have a leg, he was still trying to help people that he met, and it's really interesting and really amazing what he did. So maybe I'll write about that in the future.
Very inspirational story about strength. I don't know. I'm looking forward to that. Well, I have to say, extremely impressed. You're a very well-read young lady. And, you know, if you do write again, I think it's going to do very well.
Thank you.
Okay, so I appreciate this. Faded is the book, and it's available in stores?
In some stores, if the people choose to order it, but if a person wants to purchase it, they can purchase it online at trimatrixconsulting.ca.
Okay. Yes. Well, thank you very much, Maha. We appreciate you coming in, and congratulations on your first published novel.
Thank you.